Ba-ba-bow. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. That's right. How are you? Hope your day and your week and your month is starting well. It's up and running. It's got some, you got some wind at your back. You're moving towards your goals. You're getting up and doing that annoyingly incremental progress that human beings really have to do when they genuinely mean what they say. Hi. Yes, there's so much to talk about today. And it's difficult on these days to start, because right now what you're seeing mostly in the news, in my estimation, is on the left-leaning side of things, or in the center normal world, is a direct reflection of the January 6th thing coming up and from the committee and the possible ramifications of it. And they're kind of like, it's not happening yet, so let's just jibber jabber about it, possibly kind of like a slow speed car chase. We'll let you know if there's any of that. So, and then in terms of the right leaning world, they are either it's a giant conspiracy meant to shut down everybody, and the PS is a bunch of Mexicans and Guatemalans racing for the border. So that's what you're going to hear most of. Hello, Thule in Dublin, Ireland. Thule. I'm going to go with Thule. Is it a hard T for the TH? Thule. I'm going to go with that.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Siri, I'm not talking to you. I said Thule, not Siri. That's hilarious. Let's speculate. Exactly. Let's speculate. There's something, the news cycle right now is like watching, tires stuck in the mud. Sláinte. There you go. So welcome everybody. Settle in. I don't want to rush straight into the show. Like and subscribe. Do what you're supposed to do. Enjoy the show that I do for you. All right. Thule is Syrian. Oh no, I don't want to trigger that in everybody else's. So, so yes, Fox is screaming out about the biggest migrant caravan headed here ever. It's funny how these caravans are always heading for the United States, even when 80% of the people involved peter out in Mexico. It's almost as if a lot of Latin American countries move to the northern parts in the northern states in their own region, just like a lot of other people do for jobs. Yeah. So there is so much to get to today. The start of this, I guess, when denazification and the irony therein slams face first into the DJAF crowd. Hold on. Why is my screen off like that? Hold on. There's a big slice through the whole screen. That's not cool. To fix that, thank you. We'll take this and we'll go control and move. Oops. No, that's not right. Alt in. There you go. Fixed it. Hi. How are you? Yes, it's Viking hair, Hal, or elven hair, depending on how you look at it. I'm enjoying the elven side of things. Although it should be blonde for that, so if I let it go full white, then I'll just become the Witcher. That should work. Speaking of the Witcher, so Laura Ingraham has Glenn Greenwald on to have like a leg wrestle about which one of them gives less of a shit about deaths, murders, rapes, mutilations of children, bombings of civilian areas in Ukraine. And this is I have to say, this is one of my favorite ridiculous arguments, right up there with denazification and its Monato crowd. The idea is that Russia's gonna win. All we're doing is dragging this out. All you're doing is, it's the same talking point MTG uses. And this sounds like what's going to happen here. Glenn Greenwald sounds off on lengthening the Ukraine war. But he can't, he's sounding off because he can't speak intelligently on the thing. So he's sounding off. He's just going, that's what sounding reminds me of. All right, here we go. So I'm curious, you're curious. The two genuinely awful people who, by the way, would never hang out. For the record, just like to say, there's no way a Glenn Greenwald, Laura Ingraham dinner happens, even though they both, I'm sure they each think of the other one as less than them, which is hilarious. But you know that for a fact. You know that. And hold on one second. We got one of these like crypto nudniks in the Facebook. I got him. There you go. Daniel, what? Bang! Got him right out of the gate. I didn't even have to wait in the chat room. Kapow. All right, so let's hear what the reasoning is that, the Russians, sure, they took a half of Severodonetsk a couple days ago, and they've lost it since. But these talking points, we sat on these talking points eggs a few weeks ago. It'd be a shame to not let them hatch. So let's hear.
The war in Ukraine reaches its 100th day, if you can believe.
100th day. Yeah, I'm sorry. We just got out of a war in Afghanistan that lasted 21 fucking years. What part of this? 100 days? You don't say. The lifelong struggle of one man sick with brain cancer and stupidity, locked away during COVID, watching old videos on how great Stalin was, finally decides to attack a country and take it, and it's stretched on this long? Jesus, I mean, it's just, shouldn't the Russians have won by now? It's a war of attrition.
We thought it was important to take stock of where we are.
Where are we? Oh, you mean you're in New York and he's in Brazil?
Christopher Caldwell, a contributing editor at the Claremont Review of Books.
Oh, them, yes. You guys know the Claremont Review of Books.
Wrote a stunning guest essay in the New York Times.
Stunning.
Arguing that the conflict is spiraling out of control.
That doesn't look like it's spiraling out of control. That looks like it was just stuck. I would think whoever designs Russian bombs, I'm not trying to help you, but they're supposed to explode. I'm just saying. They're not supposed to stick in. You're not making jarts. How do you say jarts in Russian?
And how U.S. policymaking...
This is a dude biking. It's spiraling out of control. You can tell by this guy currently in Sloviansk, Ukraine, bicycling by an unexploded munition. Yes, this is the very definition of spiraling out of fucking control. Back that up, like, for fuck's sake.
Arguing that the conflict is spiraling out of control. And how U.S. policymaking has contributed to that.
Come on. Come on. You can't... Somebody thought that was a great catch. Yes, the Russians are just wiping them out. I don't know why they don't give up. They haven't even stopped riding their bikes. They're being attacked by everything Russia has to offer, short of their nukes, which may or may not even work. Jesus Christ. I have to watch that again. I'm sorry. It's just too much. Back up. First of all, yes, building riddled with bullets. We understand the Russians. By the way, most of the Donbass has looked like this for a long time because the Russians kill every Ukrainian they come across.
Spiraling out of control. And how U.S. policymaking has contributed to that. He writes, even if we don't accept Mr. Putin's claim that America's arming of Ukraine is the reason the war happened in the first place.
Yeah, we don't, because we weren't arming Ukraine before the war.
It is certainly the reason the war has taken the kinetic, explosive, deadly form it has.
You mean the part where they got to defend themselves? Yeah, it's weird. The only reason this is a fight is somebody gave that dude a shield.
Our role in this is not passive or incidental.
You're right. We're not passive or incidental. We're not like... it's not like Zelensky's looking over at our plate that has missiles on it and goes, "You going to finish that, or can I?"
We've given Ukrainians cause to believe they can prevail in a war of escalation.
Well, the assumption that it's a war of escalation, I take issue with, but they can prevail. They fucking are.
That naturally may create among American policymakers a sense of moral and political obligation.
Ew.
To stay the course, to escalate the conflict, to match any excess.
Yeah, we don't, any excess. Anytime the you know, the Russians send in rape squads. We send them howitzers to keep the rape squads out. Weird of us. I don't know what this whole thing is. What precisely does the American flag mean to Laura Ingraham? Jesus Christ.
Well, given that level-headed warning, this...
Level-headed. Based on what 36 experts agree, stay the course in Ukraine. So one dude, obviously the 36 experts are out of their goddamn minds.
Headline in the Hill caught our eye.
Our eye? You have a collective eye? I knew it. She's a witch. She shares her eye with 3 other witches.
36 experts.
Sorry, 2 witches. It's 3 witches total. I know.
Experts agree. Stay the course.
This is like kids in the hall. 36 Helens agree. You should stay the course in Ukraine.
In Ukraine. Now, the signatures naturally include a panoply of MSNBC and CNN green room fixtures, but we couldn't help but get the sense that we've heard this language before.
We are doing the right thing, and we must stay the course.
My message today.
It's 2004. That was 3 years into Iraq and Afghanistan. Not 100 days, asshole. And what is... All right, this is incomparable. Why don't they just show this about, like, Kanye and Kim's marriage?
To those in Iraq is we'll stay the course.
So are there...
By the way, staying the course in Iraq, technically speaking, has led to a stable government there. And a much smaller footprint. One of the reasons why we got out of Afghanistan the way we did and when we did was because there's no there. There is no establishing the kind of government with any legs that we were trying to put in place. Iraq, different, is happening. It actually is occurring. So, bad example, too.
Are there many billions in weaponry that we're sending to Ukraine? Are they really about ensuring a victory for Ukraine?
Yes.
Or is it just needlessly extending the bloodshed as part of some elite vanity project from a foreign policy establishment that's been wrong on most everything during the last 2 decades? Joining...
What? Wait a minute. This isn't the Bush White House. This isn't Iraq. We don't have soldiers in this area. That country requested help from us, and they're an ally. They were attacked.
Me now is Glenn Greenwald.
Oh, good. Yeah, so Glenn Greenwald, who, by the way, let's see, hold on. Now, I'm not here to yuck anybody's yum, but let's see. Yeah, here you go. Washington, Babylon. There you go. Glenn, let's see. Remember Carlos Danger, right? Meet Harry Studs, Glenn Greenwald's alter ego. Just in case, if I refer to him at any point as Harry Studs, you'll know why. Harry Studs' video, the Hot Harry and Real video was shot by Glenn Greenwald. Totally cool. I mean, stay in porn, dude. Knock yourself out. He once was sued over his stuff. There you go. There's everybody judging Hunter Biden. Meanwhile, let's see. Greenwald's always contrived with the maximum PR impact. Okay, there you go. Anyways, just so you know, Harry Studs. And that there was at one point, again, that's cool. Do your thing, man. Let's see. Let's see. Where is it? Glenn Greenwald. He's, I want to say it was it Dom? I don't even know if I'm going to spell this right. Dom Hare. Must include Dom Hare. I'm not going to be able to spell it right. Yeah. He used to, his swinger name was Dom Hare, meant to mean Damen and Herren in German, men and women in German, and combined into one word, and also like hair as in never mind. He looks like Jiminy Cricket.
Founder of The Intercept and author of Securing Democracy.
By the way, there is no world where the two of these overlap normally. They're just this is the enemy of my enemy is someone's enemy, and therefore I like enemies.
Glenn, how many times have we heard this stay the course, victories around the corner, we got them on the run, let's surge and do, pick your city or town? Are you surprised by this at this point?
At this point, it's 100 days in. What the surprising part would be like, you know what? Fuck it. We haven't. Russia's tried to take the place over, and I mean, they're going to succeed, right? So what the hell? Why are we helping these people? I mean, why are we helping Ukraine at all? I mean, just because they asked, just because they have to do this on, I mean, can't they just die? And yeah, nobody's saying victory is just around the corner, except the Russians, apparently.
Every time I've been on your show to talk about this war from the start, the theme has always been the one question that's most important happens to be the one never being asked, which is, in what way does this war serve the interests of the American people?
Yeah, who cares? Americans don't care if Russia wants to invade anywhere, even if it is an attack on a European allied country and there are allies and they're just murdering people. What business is it of ours? Why are we in the stopping murder business ever? And aren't we guilty enough? Don't we do enough terrible in the world that we should just not do anything good in case?
It doesn't. Obviously, it serves the interest of a tiny sliver of people.
A tiny sliver of humans on the planet, namely Ukrainians.
People in Washington, weapons manufacturers, people in the security state who get money and power from these sorts of things. And right at the moment...
Not if the shit doesn't work. For the record. And by the way, the Ukrainians would pay us, are going to end up paying us back over time for any of the munitions we've given them. We know this. Ask England.
When their market for these weapons disappeared, when the U.S. finally got out of Iraq and Afghanistan,
Weird. Who got us out of Afghanistan? Is it the same people that, lo and behold,
there's this new market in Ukraine.
Yeah, lo and behold, Russia attacks Ukraine. We get out of Afghanistan, and obviously the Biden administration hypnotized Vladimir Putin.
And I think the op-ed really reflects the fact of how
doesn't reflect a fact at all.
Suppressed the debate has been, because it points to things like, we've been in Ukraine since 2014. We've been armed.
We've been in Ukraine since 2014. By the way, one of the reasons why they're kicking the Russians' ass is because we've been in Ukraine since 2014, training them. They have an NCO class. They actually have a functioning military, whereas Russia has basically been run as a kleptocracy, and they've just been shuffling money and stealing from themselves.
Arming them since at least 2017 or 2018 with heavy weaponry, making very provocative gestures toward Russia right on the other side of the border. And there's been
a very provocative gestures. What gestures were we using? Like, we were doing like provocative gestures. They were standing on the border going very provocative gestures. That's sign language for NATO expansion, in case you guys don't speak sign language.
Absence of any attempt to resolve the war diplomatically, which is...
Oh, yeah. Why don't we send diplomats somewhere, just like maybe send them to the steel factory in Mariupol?
Is what you would be doing, trying to solve it diplomatically if you actually cared about the Ukrainians.
Well, no, not if you didn't believe the solution that would come would actually hold, in the same way that remember the Minsk agreement?
The Biden administration instead has been escalating the war seemingly deliberately, which is what you would do if you don't care about Ukrainians, but instead care about...
Look at her shaking her head. It's terrible. If they really cared about the Ukrainians, they would just let them be killed. And Biden's escalation of the war, especially when he went on that Russian 60 Minutes show and said Ukrainians don't exist. Let's see. Remember that? Remember when he went on there? Let's see. I think I've got some footage of Biden saying some of this stuff. Give me a second. Let's see it. It always takes me a minute because I've got so much stuff of Biden. There you go. Let's see. There's so much to do. Let's see. how did no? I've got direct footage of him. Yeah, here you go. This is the.
Вообще,
If people weren't dying,
если на самом деле не гибли люди, то такой комедии масок не было, по-моему,
this would be the
давно.
funniest
Вот
comedy.
это все бы ничего,
It's all good,
кроме того, что
except
на
for the
самом деле мы
fact
катимся к такому
that we're moving towards such an escalation.
ужесточению.
Hold on.
Мы катимся
We're descending into bloody pages of world history.
к кровавым страницам мировой истории.
Reminder: these are the assholes that attacked the other country.
Что все те, которые
Those who say there are no
для
restrictions
себя нет никакого ограничительной, который был в договоре.
that violate the NATO-Russia Act. Oh, by the way, the NATO-Russia Act is the 1997 agreement that allows Ukraine to join NATO if they fucking well want to, that Russia signed. That I bring up, and I guess nobody except this asshole has even mentioned. We will deliver whatever we want, wherever we want. Try it. Just try it. And by the way, the agreement was that everybody recognizes the sovereignty of these countries and that they can form whatever defensive alliances or not form them to their heart's content, including Ukraine, Chechnya, Georgia, any of the satellite countries. And what did Russia do? It invaded them and violated the agreement first. And now that anybody pushes back, they're like, you're violating the agreement and therefore we can nuke you. If everything keeps progressing the way it is, only a couple of mutants in Lake Baikal will survive. The rest will be destroyed in a massive nuclear strike. By the way, no one is claiming at any point that the Allies are going to launch a nuclear strike or that NATO is or the United States is. Russia is not even saying that they expect us to attack them with a nuclear weapon. When they bring this up, they mean them. And you don't say shit like that if you're winning. If you're like, it's only a matter of time, we're going to take this place. Everything is moving in that direction regardless of what either side wants. Because if NATO decides they can place whatever they want at our borders, they'll be sending more and more of Americans' weapons to Ukraine. By the way, Putin earlier like 3 weeks ago, before he died, said, we assume, because everything he's saying lately has been taped, it said that he doesn't care if Finland joins NATO. So if they don't care if Finland joins NATO, NATO can put whatever the hell it wants in the Finnish territories. So why does he give a crap about Ukraine? Because he doesn't think he can lay claim to Finland, and he knows he would lose against the Finnish army. He thought he could win against the Ukrainians. Ukraine will fire and end up hitting one of our nuclear power plants, and here we go. That's the idea that they're. So basically, he's telling you that they're going to blow up one of their own nuclear plants and blame someone. And by the way, blow up one of your nuclear plants? These are the assholes that attacked Chernobyl. Do you remember that? It's been a month now. Everyone will get more than they asked for. Bang, and there's nothing left. Let's get to bang in a moment. Yes, we should be happy, except the young people may not share this definition of happiness. We finally arrived. This is our last and decisive battle. I don't see any cause for happiness, but I also don't see any other choice. If there will be deliveries of such weapons that could reach into our territory, although they say they promise not to do it. Yeah, don't make me laugh. We've been living with them for years. Right, they've been living with them for years in other countries, and none of them have ever reached into Russian territory. It's only weird that once they attack a country that they suddenly get concerned. We'll be forced to respond because our people wouldn't understand if we didn't. Our boss, Vladimirovich Putin, which, by the way, they're saying his full name, VVP, lately, which sounds like they're eulogizing him. Very odd. Escalation. We're provoking us again, forgetting the lessons of history, that we should not be provoked. Now, you shouldn't be provoked. This is interesting. Listen to this shit. You can poke a hibernating bear with a branch. You're poking him, and he wakes up and whap. Discussions about the future are only good. And by the way, for the record, that's what Russia has been doing since before 2014. invading Georgia, invading Chechnya, initially invading Crimea and Donbass, they've been poking the bear. Their idea that somehow NATO has been pushing on them, and that's why they had to seize territory in Georgia and Chechnya, makes no fucking sense. How is it not that the analogy fits that they have been poking the bear, and NATO, which was like, oh, okay, we'll let you be in the, in the G20, but not in the G7, but okay, you have to sell gas and oil for your food. We'll let you be in the market and all these kind of things as long as all right, you attacked another country, but we'll let you decide, all those things. And then all of a sudden they're catching some shit and they're like, we have been poked. Like, shut the fuck up. When you're certain there will be a future, since we're not sure, let's wait until the next program. By the way, this guy, look at this dude's face. The joke is that there might not be a tomorrow. Yeah, look at this dude's face. By the way, let's see. Where's the? There was another one. We look at the battles in Mariupol. It's going to be so exciting. Yada yada. Okay, these stories. So this is this guy pushes back in this one clip. This guy pushes back against the idea that there will be nuclear war and that it's not a big deal. This is the dude who initially was like, "I call bullshit. It's not working." So he got a good talking to. This guy was one of in the early episodes of this show. He was saying it'll be over quickly. These guys are going to get wiped out. And then later on when it didn't, he was like, this is taking longer than it should. It's embarrassing. These things are going bad. And then all of a sudden he gets this talking to, and he's like, we need to just level the East Coast of the United States. Let's move on Berlin, London, and Washington, he says. Yeah, so here we go. This is this dude, and now he's actually out in the field. So he has been moved out to the front lines. He's no longer in the studio. People here are divided into including those in the military. First group fully supports denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine. It's more complicated with the second group. They demand we move on Berlin, London, and Washington. Those are the only two categories. That's how they feel. So there's two groups, according to this dude, in Russia. There's the group that says, yeah, we got to denazify and demilitarize Ukraine, wipe out the Ukrainians as a culture, as a person. And anybody who's been sympathetic, any Russian living in Ukraine who's lived as a Ukrainian in the country, they're poisoned by the Nazification of Ukraine. So they got to get wiped out. And then the other half, or I guess they're the peaceniks, they believe that we should just fire on Berlin, London, and Washington, just open fire on these things, on the country. What we see going on here right now is completely unacceptable. Those deliveries of weapons Americans are attempting, let's objectively ask, do they really think they're shitty weapons? Those bastards really think they'll change the situation? Well, then what are you upset about? If they're not going to change the situation, I mean, no, they won't, he says. People here, oh, okay, and that was it. They just cut away from him. They won't change. All right, well, then what are you worried about? Yeah, so, wait, was that? Yeah, okay. So anyways, that's the current state. These guys are talking like winners. Meanwhile, across the pond, Glenn and Laura are both like, I don't know why the Ukrainians don't just cry uncle.
Weapons manufacturers and the power of the U.S. security state.
Joe Biden.
So did the Russians attack Ukraine to build up their military suppliers?
Glenn is basically just a non-answer on what he believes needs to happen next. Watch.
Mr. President, does Ukraine have to cede territory to achieve some peace? Cede territory, not seek. I don't know who's that stupid. Mr. President, does Ukraine have to cede territory, as in give territory to achieve some peace?
It's their territory. I'm not going to tell them what they should and shouldn't do. But it appears to me that at some point along the line, there's settlement here. And what that entails, I don't know. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to put the Ukrainians in a position where they can defend themselves.
Glenn, Germany and France have already, just a few days ago, urged Russia to go back to the negotiating table. They want this over, clearly.
And, by the way, shall we bring back Laura Ingraham from like 2002 or some shit, or even Fox News in general from 2002 about what we think about France and Germany's opinion about war? Jesus Christ. Is she back to French fries? Are French fries cool again at Fox?
Killing their economy.
It's killing their economy. Well, you know, who cares if the Russians are killing Ukrainian children and elderly people and workers and just folks trying to live their lives? I mean, it's tough on the euro
economies. And Biden's still meandering down this road of, well, we're gonna keep sending more weapons there. What's your response to this?
What is that? Why was he even doing this? What is he doing? Why would you even say? How does this do it? I mean, if you're gonna send, why would he even send weapons? Just because they're winning? It's so weird. Like, why would he even? Is he just doing this by himself? It's like he's got a little switch that sends shit. It's never mind the UK just did the exact same thing we did, and Germany and France, while they're pushing Putin to go back to the table, are not expecting him to actually do it, and are at least doing carrot where we're doing stick. But they're also sending weapons. The fucking French just sent movable howitzers.
So I think there's been a clear narrative shift in how the media has been describing this war over the last couple of weeks. That's
Yeah, totally. Yeah, a narrative shift.
Quite notable. For the first 3 months, the media has barely acknowledged Russian advances at all. If you were listening to them, you would think that the Ukrainians have...
They got driven out of Kiev. They're back in the same territory they had primarily, and they're giving it all they got. They just lost. If he brings up Severodonetsk and says, see, they've won.
Vanquished this much more powerful Russian military. Many times the experts said they were days away from a full-scale military collapse. And now the media is acknowledging that they...
No one has said that. Everybody has said they're months away, but it's definitely headed in that direction. Maybe that's why Glenn and Laura are upset. Because they are. And if this goes on much longer, Russia won't have the ability to even defend their territories in Chechnya and Georgia anymore.
They have essentially consolidated control over large portions of eastern Ukraine, which is what Putin said from the beginning was his goal.
Bullshit.
So
that he did not. If that was his goal, why'd they attack the capital in the western part of the country?
In order to actually expel the Russians...
By the way, this only works if you didn't actually see the speech that Putin gave, both of them, the two major policy ones before and right after, and the cabinet meeting he had with all of his people to get them online with denazifying the fucking country. And the definition of denazifying was anybody who identifies as Ukrainian.
From Ukrainian territory and go back to the pre-invasion borders, you would need a commitment over many years that would be extremely dangerous and very expensive. We can't win a war on the other side of the world without a sacrifice.
The other side of the world? This isn't the South China Seas, dum-dum. This is attached to Europe. Ukraine is buttressed right up against fucking Poland.
Well beyond what Americans are or should be willing to endure.
Yeah, they should give up. I mean, Americans have been through so much. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're giving $40 billion worth. I mean, granted, we have a $754 billion yearly military budget, but, you know, lend-leasing $40 billion of that stuff that isn't currently being used to people who are going to use it to defend themselves and then are going to pay us back for its use over a couple of decades. I mean, how much more can we take? I mean, there's long lines at Starbucks. It's just, how can we?
You called this from the beginning, and...
What did he call? You called this from the beginning?
Sadly, you were right. But
you were right. It's still ongoing. Secondly, no, he wasn't. On what part? So if you're going to say that, you can't say you called this. You have to say, Glenn, you said by da-da-da, this was not going to be quick and the Ukrainians weren't going to win by 3 months. And like, putting all the artificial weight, by the way, in that statement, if he even did say it, on the Ukrainians instead of the invading force.
We really appreciate your perspective tonight.
Yeah, totally. I do. And you know what I appreciate? The editor at Fox's website that put a picture of Newt Gingrich's face over Laura Ingraham and whoever this woman is on Hannity. And I will point out that genetically speaking, it is completely reasonable that Glenn Greenwald is wearing either Fox News eyeglasses, big like Elton John eyeglasses, or a Fox News channel patch as a Fox pirate, and that technically speaking, Laura Ingraham's face is a perfect match between these two people. I'm just saying, if two of these people fell into a vat of toxic waste, Laura Ingraham would crawl out of it. Bikini Singh, right? So yeah, here we go. All right. So that's, by the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, and it's nice to be on here with you. I appreciate it. Yes, the pro-life party. You know, just let them die. I mean, what's the big deal? Who needs it? Right? Jesus. So, there's a lot going on. Hold on. There's a lot going on in the world. And there's, the Supreme Court's about to overturn Roe v. Wade, and a violent attack on women's rights that everybody, left of Mitch McConnell's nuts should be up in arms about. The January 6th committee hearings are going to be televised this week and are going to tell a story of the worst attack on our Capitol and our democracy since the Civil War. And obviously, and there's a midterm coming up. So clearly, the lines have been drawn, and we need to focus on the real threat and the circumstance. So that's why Jimmy Dore is doing Biden to hike Medicare premiums and funnel profits to private insurers. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this is an act of sheer propaganda based on what would be normal governmental budgetary business, dealt with in the previous year of the last year of the Trump administration's budget, going into the cycle and setting a price point for the future of this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that that's where this falls into, and that and funnel profits to private insurers. But the direct line here is the shocking part. This is the part that's a big sell. So we'll see if that turns out to be true. Biden to hike Medicare premiums, that's what he's doing it for, and funnel profits to private insurers. That's what he's going to do. He's going to take the money, he's going to raise the cost of Medicare, and he's going to take that money and give it straight to private insurers. This is not, don't talk to me about one program deals with something and this program deals with something else. No. If you take this from that, this goes to this thing. So let's see. Now Jesus Christ, this is 21 minutes. I don't feel like we have to do the whole thing. We'll see. I just want to see if let's give him 5 minutes to make his point. Let's see.
Biden has a plan to rebuild our economy, Nick.
Jesus Christ, that's loud. Hold on. So this starts with a tweet from the Democrats. President Biden has a plan to rebuild our economy from the bottom up and the middle out. Republicans have a plan that could raise taxes on working families and end the Social Security and Medicare guarantee, which is true because they literally are talking about sunset laws. That's one of the things that Rick Scott put forward that was going to be the plan for the Republicans once they take control, is that all government laws, regulations, rules sunset after 5 years. That would include Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, S-chip, everything. And unless they had the votes to re-up it, it doesn't happen. And so they basically guarantee that Rand Paul alone could end Social Security in one cycle.
From the bottom up and the middle out. So he's saying F you to the rich people at the top sides.
At the top sides.
Republicans have a plan.
Jimmy's sick. Jimmy's got a nasal thing, something like that.
That could raise taxes on working families and end the Social Security and Medicare guarantee. He said that on May 28th.
But no French cuffs. However, the stitching on his shirt is a like the body of it is attached. Like the sleeves are very. That's some odd tailoring. Someone spent money to make that shirt fit weirdly.
It's the Democrats saying that.
See that? How it's stretched? What is the attachment on that sleeve? What's happening there? What is that?
Right. So they're saying you got to Biden. He's here for you. He's here for the poor, regular, working class people.
Yeah. Have you looked at the job figures lately? Have you looked at their focus? Have you looked at the American Rescue Plan and what was in it? Of course not. You think Jimmy's read the American Rescue Plan? Are you kidding me? You think he even knows what's in the fucking infrastructure bill? It's probably just a giveaway to weapons manufacturers. They're just making roads out of nuclear weapons and bullets. Raytheon's probably doing the internet.
And he's going to protect your Medicare. He's going to protect your thing. And all of a sudden, whoa, what's going on?
Whoa, what's going on? Biden hikes Medicare prices and funnels profits to private insurance. Okay, so he's just taking it. He's taking the title of his own video from an article from The Lever. This I have not seen. We'll look on here. The Lever, Biden hikes. That should give us the whole thing, right? Okay, so The Lever. Let's see. Podcasts. Who's on? Let's see. Oh, okay. So here you go. So this is The Lever, David Sirota. Lever Live, they have a show, which is David, again. Labor, health, climate, business, politics. This is the title of it. And then this is the article. June 1st, Matthew Cunningham Cook. The largest ever Medicare premium increase will pad the pockets of insurance executives who donated millions to the president's election campaign. Well, that's interesting. Let's find out if that's true. Last week, the administration quietly affirmed its decision to enact the highest. Why is that in the Inquirer? Since that's a link from the Inquirer. Well, let's look at that link right away. But whoops, hold on, go away, please. I don't have that. Continue. I don't want to read that. The Philadelphia Inquirer. Why is it from there? Okay. Anyways, we'll find that out by another source. Give me a second. At the same time, highest premier right before the midterm elections. At the same time, President Joe Biden is endorsing a plan to funnel significantly more Medicare money to insurance companies and further privatize the government insurance program for older Americans and those with disabilities. All right, well, let's see. Let's see if that's actually the case. In effect, the higher premium increases will subsidize the larger payments to and profits for private insurance corporations. This comes after Biden raked in roughly $47 million from healthcare industry executives during his 2020 campaign. Clearly, he's in the pocket of big insurance. The Biden administration announced on May 27th that due to legal and operational hurdles, Medicare recipients won't see their premiums lowered this year, even though that rate was originally hiked last November in large part due to the projected costs of paying for a controversial Alzheimer's drug that Medicare now says it generally will not cover. Okay, so that's and by the way, as announced on May 27th. Okay, let's open this. But the Biden administration announced this. Won't lower seniors' Medicare premiums this year despite changes to coverage's new alternate. Okay, they won't do it. By Rachel Kors. Let's see. Okay. I can't read it because you have to. Okay. Are they just basically going to only link to places you have to buy to? At this point, I think David Sirota works for all these newspapers. The Biden administration on Friday said it will not lower Medicare premiums for adults 65 and over this year, even though their costs spiked based on inflated financial projections for the beleaguered Alzheimer's drug Aduhelm. Xavier said in January, publicly announced he was ordering Medicare to consider dropping older adults' premiums in the middle of this year, which would have been an unprecedented move. But the administration has decided against the change due to legal and operational hurdles, the department said Friday afternoon. Oh, due to legal and operational hurdles. So the assertion here is that that's not true, that they're using that. Won't see their premiums lowered this year. They'll see them lowered next year because of the other stuff, because of monoclonal antibodies and other stuff that were added into the. Okay, we'll see. Even though that the rate was originally hiked last November in large part due to the projected cost of paying for the Aduhelm. Administration announcement comes as Biden announced to move forward with a jolting 8.5% hike in payments made to private insurers operating Medicare Advantage plans next year. Okay, let's see that. The growth in share of Medicare Advantage spending, Medicare Advantage spending as a share of total Medicare spending to double over a 20-year period. Medicare Advantage is on track to increase from 26% of Medicare spending in 2010 to 54% in 2030. This is the cost of Medicare Advantage. They're going to spend more on that than they are on traditional Medicare. All right. Earlier this week, the Biden administration announced the first Medicare Advantage rates for 2023, which are projected to result in an average increase in Medicare Advantage plan revenue of 8.5% compared to 2022. Highest rate expected in increase in recent years. Okay, not all right. Let's see. Increase in Medicare Advantage plan revenue of 8.5%, not necessarily the cost. We'll see. The payments to Medicare Advantage plans as a share of total Medicare spending, Part A and Part B services have increased from 26%, to 45% in 2020 and are expected to rise to 54% in 2030. Well, that's right. That's on track. According to that, more than half of Medicare Part A and B spending by 2024. The increase in federal spending on Medicare Advantage corresponds to rapid growth in Medicare Advantage enrollment, as well as people choosing to join Medicare Advantage and add on to it. Okay. As well as higher and faster growing payments per Medicare Advantage enrollee compared to spending in traditional Medicare, because the amount of people adding their own money to it versus the amount that the government pays into it is different. This is dickish. This is a percentage game. Fucking hell. All right, let's continue from where this is. Okay, the idea is that because this expansion is going the way it's going, and that they haven't stopped it because people are enrolling more and more. And notice it didn't say cost was going to go up 8.5%. The cost is, and it's a buy-in, by the way. You don't have to have it, Medicare Advantage. And if you're going to buy into it, you're subsidizing the people who can't afford to buy into it. So therefore, people who add their own money on top of the money that that came out of their checks over the years that allows them to get this, the people who buy into it when they're over 65, instead of having private insurance, are going to, all right, this is just stupid. All right. So, but the article itself, that he cites, largest ever Medicare premium increase will pad the pockets of insurance executives who donated to me. Okay, no, it won't. That's people choosing to join Medicare Part A. They're raising the Medicare premium. Medicare, if you'll notice, when the poor people who need it, don't pay a premium. It's the add-on services that you buy that are going up because they're providing more stuff. Specifically, this Alzheimer's drug, which everybody's saying is not going to be used very much. So why should you pay for it? Because it's $56,000 a year for this drug. But the question is it going to work and stuff? And that's part of the budget. And they have to wait and see. And it's going to be the end of 22 before they even fucking know.
What's going on, Joe? Biden hikes Medicare prices.
Yeah, why read the article when you can just read the title of an article that buries the lead?
And funnels profits to private insurers. Get the F out of here. What's going on? Last week, the Biden administration quietly reaffirmed its decision to enact the highest Medicare premium hikes in history, right before this year's midterm election.
Well, there you go. So let's see. The Biden juxtaposition. Okay, where? Okay, here we go. Announcement made to do the legal opportunity, even though the rate would hike. Administration comes as I don't see. That's the same article. Yeah, here we go. So that's the top of the article. That's what you're talking about. Last week, Biden administration quietly reaffirmed its decision to enact the highest, and that's judging on this thing. Again, it wouldn't let me read it, so super fun. Right before the midterm elections, at the same time endorsing a plan to funnel significantly more Medicare money to insurance companies. Now is he just going to funnel the money and it's going to go straight to them as profit, or are they going to be providing more services that weren't previously available and therefore more money will go through, but the profit ratio might either remain the same or even shrink? Why would that be even a thought? Let's see. And we'll see. All right.
At the same time, President Joe Biden is endorsing a plan to funnel significantly more Medicare money to ensure
Medicare money. Again, reading opinion as fact.
Insurance companies and further privatize the government insurance program for older Americans and those with disabilities.
Okay, that is based on, that's a lie. And that is based on precisely what we were just looking at in that graph. This is what they consider the further privatization. That's not what's happening. Medicare Advantage spending as a share of total Medicare spending to double over a 20-year period. That's people buying into more and more services that might be more expensive, but the number of people served that are below the poverty line or need it is going to remain effectively stable-esque as a populace. This does not tell you anything about the volume of privatization versus public. This just means that the share of available services that you can buy into that aren't natural to this part of it, that are extensions of it, are going to increase because of what you're able to buy into and the other programs that you're available to. With the minor subsidy that you get through Medicare and Medicaid, the insurance company is going to be offering more stuff, and so a slightly tick up. You buy more of a plan. There's Medicare Part A, Part B. You can buy into into these things at a slightly higher premium, and you can get more stuff. Is the idea? All right, it's dentistry, eyes, hearing, mental health. Those are all and like psychological, pharmaceuticals, those kind of things. All these are new technical things being added over time that are either not necessary, but are, long-term health related. If you want to pay for it, it's the kind of thing you want, but baseline where, the government's not going to buy a bunch of stuff that you're not going to need necessarily. Yeah, this is not supplementing this. This is basically remaining a steady or even growing amount as far as people are, in the program. But more and more people who are in the program will be able to buy into other stuff. This is fucking hell. All right, but let's see. All right, let's see where he goes.
Man, it's so much better having him do this than Trump.
Again, that's not the same thing. The Republicans, hold on. Let's see if, there's really no difference. One is doing a cost-based price increase on some services on the buy-in part of Medicare. And Rick Scott, speaking on behalf of the Republicans, want to fucking sunset both of them. But there's no difference. You know what I mean?
Isn't it? It feels better to have a Democrat who's also responsible for black and brown people being incarcerated at much higher rates than white. He's talking about the crime bill. That's not why. That's a misnomer. Most of the black mayors in the country, the Congressional Black Caucus, all supported the crime bill. Increasingly, there's calls for it similarly because there is not a direct linkage between black people and crime. And people who have crime enacted on them are most of the time share the same race. And so nobody has an interest in sort of racially homogenous legal systems establishing some sort of different standard for people. That's not what's going on. It's garbage. And the fact that he's rolling back to the fucking crime bill is hilarious. It's just better to have him do it than Trump, because it would feel creepy. It would make us feel like bad people. But the fact that Joe Biden's doing it and his vice president is black, it makes me feel better. In effect, the higher premium increases will subsidize the
In effect,
larger payments to and profits for.
Well, no, the larger payments might be true, but if there's more services available, then the profit margin is the same. That's another argument. Again, this goes to the whole thing. What's the difference between income, revenue, and profits?
Private insurance corporation. That's
like, I understand this. I want individual states to have their own single payer systems that as Americans, you can choose which one you want. That there might be a federal one, but there's also one that you can go through the Massachusetts one, or if Washington State wants one or whatever, and you can buy into those if they work better and they service you better. And any profits made from it build infrastructure and pay for schools and shit like that. Think of it as the instead of gambling on the insurance actuarials, doing that as opposed to the lottery.
Weird that Joe Biden is acting at the behest and at the behalf of rich corporations, healthcare corporations, over the individual needs of citizens. I did not see Joe Biden doing that. It's weird he's doing that. He's such a much better person than Donald Trump.
Well, he's got to play ball if he wants to get those insulin prices down.
That's yeah. This comes after Biden raked in roughly $47 million from healthcare industry executives.
Oh, that's in red text. Do we look at that? Okay, this is roughly 47 million. Okay, here we go. Business Insider. We combed through records of 100 healthcare executives to see who their top executives were doing. Let's see. This is from the Hill, Business Insider. We combed through records of 100 healthcare companies to see who their top executives are donating to in the 2020 election. They reveal a surprising trend. Healthcare executives are favoring Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden when it comes to their personal campaign donations. So the 2,500 each, whatever. An insider analysis is found. Insider reviewed campaign donation disclosures linked to 100 major healthcare companies this election cycle and found that the CEOs from Merck, Independence Blue Cross, and Kaiser Permanente were among the largest contributors to Biden. So none of them make hydroxychloroquine, I'm guessing. Biden has promised to raise taxes and overhaul the healthcare system, partly by controlling prescription drug prices and health insurance costs, but that hasn't stopped healthcare bosses from choosing him over President Donald Trump. Executives in business like certainty, Bruce Freed, the president of the Center for Political Accountability, said. And the fact is there's been a great deal of uncertainty and instability. Healthcare executives have a clear favorite for the White House, and it's not the person who gave them a big tax cut 3 years ago. America's top fucking hell.
During his 2020. So here's his payback. There you go. The Biden
There you go. Well, where's Trump's payback?
Administration announced on May 27th that due to legal and operational hurdles, Medicare recipients won't see their premiums lowered this year, even though that rate was originally hiked last November, in large part due to the projected cost of paying for a controversial Alzheimer's drug that Medicare now says it generally will not cover.
Generally will not cover. Shall we look into let's see. The also it's Alderon or whatever it is, Alderon. The CASA Medicare Advantage plans. These are the ones you buy into a campaign trail to defend our nation's thing. But since taking office, it's expanded by launching an ACO Reach program, which will continue to promote ever-increasing Medicare Advantage. Because they're trying to get people to get into Medicare Advantage. They want you to enroll in it. So it's expanding how much it is. That's what the ACO Reach thing is. Hold on one second. So I'm looking for the name of that drug. I'll go back to that other page. Hold on. Get out of here. Exclusive to. Why is this? I don't have to join the friggin'. Okay, hold on. Medicare Alzheimer's drug controversial. I don't know. We'll find it that way. This is what I do. I just respond to stuff. Medicare limits payments for new Alzheimer's drug to clinical trials. That's what they're talking about. This is the one. Okay. The federal government on Thursday affirmed its plan to limit coverage for a costly new medication for Alzheimer's disease, restricting it to Medicare patients enrolled in clinical trials. So if you're in one of the clinical trials for it, it has not passed clinical trials. Medicare patients will get that paid for, but people who are not in the clinical trials because they haven't finished the clinical trials are not going to get, we're not going to pay the pharmaceutical company that makes the drug until the clinical trials are done. Despite the Food and Drug Administration's accelerated approval of the drug Aduhelm last June. Well, let's see. When did this happen? Last June. Let's look at this. FDA grants accelerated approval for Alzheimer's drug. Today, the U.S. approved Aduhelm aducanumab. Okay, so it's a monoclonal antibody. That's what a MAB is, by the way. Anytime you see MAB on the end of a drug, that's a monoclonal antibody for the treatment of Alzheimer's, a debilitating disease affecting 6.2 million Americans. Aduhelm was approved using the accelerated approval pathway, which can be used for a drug for serious or life-threatening illnesses. Okay, so they approved it for accelerated approval, but they'll only pay for people doing the clinical trials, and they're trying to get more people into the clinical trials. So if you have it, they'll pay for it. Fucking hell. Let's see. Aduhelm represents a first-of-its-kind treatment approved for Alzheimer's disease. It is the first new treatment approved for Alzheimer's disease since 2003 and is the first therapy that targets the fundamental pathophysiology of the disease. Researchers evaluated Aduhelm's efficacy in 3 separate studies representing a total of 3,482 patients. The studies consisted of double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled, dose-ranging studies in patients with Alzheimer's disease. Patients receiving the treatment had significant dose and time-dependent reduction of amyloid beta plaque, which patients in the control arm of the studies had no reduction of amyloid beta plaque. The results support the accelerated approval of it, which is based on the surrogate endpoint of reduction of amyloid beta plaque in the brain, a hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. It was quantified using positron emissions tomography, a PET scan, to estimate the brain levels of amyloid beta plaque in composite. Can't you guys call that ABP at this point? Related information on Aduhelm. It was granted fast-track designation, which seeks to expedite the development and review of drugs that are intended to treat serious conditions where initial evidence is okay. So this drug is. They fast-tracked it, and they're going to pay for it for some people, but during the clinical trials, they're not paying for everybody to get it, so the price won't get passed on. The idea was that, well, since they're not going to give it to everybody yet, the cost increase folded that into it, and therefore it shouldn't be part of the price tag. Now, we'll look at what the price tag is in a minute.
So they hiked the prices up for a drug you're not even getting. And now he won't lower them back.
He won't lower them back.
The administration's announcement comes as Biden's officials move forward with a jolting 8.5% hike in payments. Made to private insurers operating Medicare Advantage plans next year.
Yes, payments, not profits. Because more people are joining it. The Biden administration literally sought to get more people to join. Hold on. Where's that program? The President Biden there's a name for it. Hold on. I have to look up the Biden Medicare Advantage. Whoops, push. Let's see. Biden administration follows stat news. Let's see. Medicare Advantage poised to take off in 2022. Okay, so this is part of what they're talking about. Medicare Advantage poised to take off in 2022. Look for even more seniors to flock to Medicare Advantage in 2022 as the Biden administration, health insurers, and investors bolster this privatized form of health coverage for those 65 and older. Already established health insurers, including United Health Group, United Healthcare, Humana, CVS Health, Aetna, Cigna, and Anthem expanded into hundreds of new counties for this year to sell Medicare Advantage in this increasingly competitive business. But there have already been signals from annual health insurer investor days and venture capital firms that Medicare Advantage will continue taking a larger share of seniors moving away from traditional Medicare to these privatized MA plans in 2022 and beyond. That's what they're afraid of. So we continue to prioritize our high growth markets, CVS. So specifically in healthcare, we focused on growing our government business, dual eligibles, Medicare Advantage exchange plans instead of just singular plans. CVS, which owns the nation's third largest health insurance in Aetna, has 3 million seniors enrolled in its Medicare Advantage plans. And these health insurers see a market of more than 10,000 Americans a day turning 65 years old and becoming eligible for Medicare and Medicare Advantage in particular. Medicare Advantage plans contract with the federal government to provide extra benefits and services to seniors, such as disease management and nurse help hotlines, which also offer vision, dental care, and wellness programs. The Biden administration released new figures last month that showed more than 27 million Americans were enrolled in a Medicare Advantage plan as of October 2021. That's more than 40% of the total Medicare enrollment of 63 million people. Startups and smaller health plans are also gaining traction from investors, helping them expand in markets for Medicare Advantage. These startups see a substantial market to work with to convert to a private plan from traditional Medicare. Take Zing Health, a Chicago-based Medicare Advantage insurer, which its chief executive says is focused on creating superior health outcomes for seniors across underserved communities. Increasingly, health insurers are working to address social determinants of health, and Zing sees a niche in markets not historically served by Medicare Advantage. Last month landed a $25 million investment from Town Hall Ventures and Levitt Equity Partners to invest firms focused on healthcare growth companies. This new infusion of capital will enable Zing to broaden its reach and continue to provide the best quality healthcare to underserved populations. Okay, so there you go. That's what they're talking about. The expansion of 8.5% is because the expansion of companies into it and more people signing up for it and more people, boomers in particular, turning 65.
Juxtaposition between dramatically increasing payments to private insurance plans that provide less care for higher costs on the one hand and keeping seniors.
And again, why are you performing this person's, David Sirota's writing? Just read it.
Premiums are
because inflecting your voice doesn't make it more or less right necessarily. I mean, I understand you gotta do a little story time, but this is silly.
Artificially inflated. On the other, underscores the Biden administration's conflicting commitments when it comes to Medicare. I wouldn't say conflicting commitment. Who wrote this? Fucking Dave. I bet you did David fucking Sirota, apologist for the Democrats, right?
Yes, he did. You don't even know who wrote the article you're quoting as fact?
That's who wrote this, right?
Yes, it is.
When they say that, they mean they say one thing and they do another, and that's a conflicting commitment.
Oh, that's what he means by a conflicting commitment.
No. There's the balancing act between what the voters may want or see as a positive or a negative and what the financial community around it might want from you or expect from you if indeed they are donating to you because they expect some sort of help. Now, in the case of the fact that Trump gave them these healthcare companies a huge tax break, and Biden was actually talking about and running on tightening the screws on them, which he has been doing, that would be contrary to that thought.
Yeah,
it's called real politic.
Real politic. On the 2020 campaign trail.
Okay, we're just going to read the fucking article. I already read it to everyone. Skip to the end, man and wife.
Biden pledged as president to continue to defend our nation's commitment to older Americans and people with disabilities through Medicare. That's what that is.
Wait, what are you pulling your balls? What is that? Who does two hand gestures? What's happening? Are you washing them? Is it?
But since taking office, Biden has expanded Medicare privatization by launching the involuntary ACO REACH.
The involuntary ACO REACH program. Let's hear. Accountable Care Organization, Realizing Equity, Access, and Community Health REACH model. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services has redesigned the global and professional direct contracting model to advance administration priorities, including our commitment to advancing health equity in response to stakeholder feedback and participant experience. The Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, the Innovation Center, is releasing a request for applications to solicit a cohort of participants for the Accountable Care Organization Realizing Equity, Access, and Community Health REACH model. The GPDC model will be renamed the ACO REACH model to better align the model's name with the purpose to encourage healthcare providers to coordinate care to improve the care offered to people with Medicare, especially those from underserved communities, a priority of the Biden-Harris administration. Yeah, it's it. They can't get out of it. Now, if you're dealing with Medicare, you have to act in an equitable way towards underserved communities. How dare he? How dare he? And wait, you're telling me that forcing these companies to expand their actual coverage in underserved communities is going to raise the costs of the buy-in part? Fucking hell. Yeah, I'm done too. Like I gave him 5 minutes. It's 4:15.
ACO REACH program. I never heard of that.
No? You'd think you'd fucking read up on it. You have a computer right in front of you. I just looked it the fuck up.
The ACO REACH program, and through continuing to promote ever-increasing Medicare Advantage enrollment. So he's privatizing a program people...
No. People are already moving to the privatized parts of it, and it pays for the people who can't afford the privatized parts of it, and it's an addition to it. There's going to be more people doing it because there's going to be a lot of people aging.
Love. And he's making it worse.
Wasn't that the big Republican threat that they always said, these crazy Republicans?
They said
no.
Republicans were going to do this, and now look at the Democrats doing this.
This is all because of baby boomers retiring. This is a demographic thing.
Why? Because they're the same party.
There we go. All right, we're done. There you go. So right before the midterms, that's what Jimmy Dore is running on, because they're the same party. This is what, like, half-assed understanding of reality. Yes, I know this is why the guy got fired from TYT. No, I think he got fired from TYT because he spit on Alex Jones. Pretty sure that was the last straw. He was with, like, Cenk and Anna and those guys, and he spit on Alex Jones. And then the Gavin Long killings sort of sealed the deal, because Gavin Long, murdered 3 cops and left one in a wheelchair paralyzed, basically just ambushed them and killed them. And he quoted Jimmy a lot in his videos. So anyways, this whole thing, like, this is Jimmy and in some ways David Sirota with their sour grapes about, it's weird that they even have this because they hate Sanders now. It's odd. Hal, I just don't think they should call it Medicare Advantage. It should have a completely different name. Lots of people aren't cognizant to know the difference. Derek, they are when they buy into it. They understand that you're informed. I mean, there might be people who don't understand, but most of the time, those people aren't going to be the kind of people who can afford to buy into the system anyways. So, Medicare disadvantage, right? It's an augment, because there's just stuff that, and it's too specific and too narrow for a government program to handle it. There are too many needs that people have that are niche that can't be covered by a broad swath program like Medicare, especially when it comes to people aging, because there's the trend design on healthcare in Medicare is designed for the things that kill most people, the things that make most people ill as they age. And so when you have divergence from that, those end up being huge spikes in costs that undermine the ability to deal with what saves the most lives over time. So Medicare Advantage and those kind of things are meant to augment those areas where that if you tried to spread it thinly over everything else, it would capsize it. That's why. Is it a perfect system? No. Is there a better system to be at? Sure. But that's the attempt is. And the reason there's a volume increase in it is because the baby boomers are all retiring at the same time. I mean, this is a huge arc towards it. It's exactly where it's going. And the idea is that, the taxpayer base that will pay for people who are on Medicare, for example, who are older, as far as taxes that go in, is going to be smaller than the group of old people as they age and pass away. That's the reality. Now, the other reality we have to deal with, of course, is balls. I mean, there's, it's a thing you have to deal with. It's just, there's sometimes there's swinging balls, there's teabagging balls, there's balls that just kind of drop in. And then there's ironically absent balls, like Real America's Dan Ball. He's on with Steve Moore to talk about the May jobs report and record inflation. So I'm sure we will get keen economic insights from the Republicans. I would like to point out before we start this, which hope is mercifully short. It is filth. You're right. Thank you. I try. My segues are on point, or on the, on sphere. I would like to point out that Real America purchased a package of what I'm sure they were promised was easily customizable show transitions and graphics. And what they didn't know at the time was that the placeholder for the text that they have would require a lot of empty space to center a name like Dan Ball, because they were apparently expecting a show like Real America with Paramahansa Yogananda, or, Alexander Ablamovich, or, Fujibar Maharadin. But when they run into these short names, there's just this shit gap on either side of it. It's a little pitiful. But, I mean, you get what you pay for. Hey, if it wasn't for, Real America and Rumble, how would Fiverr stay afloat? Here we go.
Today,
America.
Thanks to the economic plan and the vaccination plan that my administration put in action, America has achieved the most robust recovery in modern history, just 2 years removed from the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And as we move to a new period of stable, steady growth, we should expect to see more moderation. We aren't likely to see the kind of blockbuster job reports month after month.
Yeah, because you're going to run out of people to employ.
Like we had over this past year. But that's a good thing. That's a sign of a healthy economy. Two challenges on the minds of most working families are prices at the pump and prices at the grocery store. Both of these challenges have been directly exacerbated by Putin's war in Ukraine.
Oh my! Oh, this is their sales point now. Can I just sit and enjoy the fact that Dan Balls is having a breakdown? And they're going to be, he's passing the buck. It's passing the buck instead of its reality. But here we go. Here we go. Talking like an adult apparently triggers Danny Balls. Biden speaks on economy after May jobs report. By the way, the May jobs report, that's got to be, this has to be the, this has got to be rough, man, for the Danny Balls of the world. What do you do? What do you do? The unemployment rate held at 3.6, while the more encompassing jobless rate edged closer to 7.1%. Average hourly earnings rose slightly less than expected, but were still up 5.2% from a year ago. Leisure and hospitality led gains, followed by professional and business services, then warehousing and transportation. People are just getting back to work. And this is very upsetting for Danny Balls. And by the way, this exasperation is supposed to convince you that A, he knows what he's talking about, and the facts don't play out the way Biden says they do.
When Trump was in, everything was Russia, Russia, Russia. And now Biden's in and everything's Putin, Putin, Putin's fault.
I think the word was exacerbated.
Biden there once again lying to the American public.
And that's your job, Danny.
Them everything's fine.
I don't think he said everything was fine. I think he was saying that we have extraordinary job growth because we're coming from a recovery, but it's been great. We're coming from a collapse because of COVID, and the recovery's been great. But that you shouldn't expect it to continually do like this because it's going to even out at some point. They'll start deaccelerating. Yeah, deaccelerating, not lowering from acceleration as they get, never mind.
Look at the job numbers. It's great. Don't worry about the skyrocketing inflation and the recession we're headed towards. Don't worry about it, because the Labor Department put out the new jobs reports today, and it says that we've created 390,000 jobs.
Why do these people keep hiring? Don't they know we're heading to a recession?
Even though unemployment remains really steady, right at 3.6. And it's probably higher, like most experts say it is.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was only real during the Trump years, whatever the jobless rate was until it started going up under Trump was exactly real. Now it's all fake.
And that those jobs are not created.
Well, no, a lot of people are returning to them, but there have been 1 million jobs more created over that time.
I'll get to that in a minute with our guest.
Sure.
And of course, gas prices and
well, the government doesn't create jobs unless you're saying it does now.
Food prices are at record highs. Today's national average, $4.76 a gallon, up another 6 cents since the last time we reported just a couple days to you ago when it was like $4.70. As prices continue to skyrocket, Biden is seeking to try and help solve the pain at the pump by maybe, as he said today, maybe, going to Saudi Arabia.
Maybe.
Sometime.
Does he say maybe?
This month. Biden might head over that way.
This, by the way, this has been an article for fucking a week now.
Try and beg for more oil so our prices will come down.
No, we're not buying it from them. It's into the world market. Our companies sell into the world market. Capitalism. Something you guys used to be for until you're clamoring for fucking Venezuela.
Critics, however, are slamming Biden for his possible upcoming trip because on the campaign trail, he pledged to make Saudi Arabia a pariah, he says, after Washington Post journalist had said, if you remember him, it was Jamal Khashoggi was killed there.
Yeah, he said he was killed. Do you remember when Jamal Khashoggi told everybody he was killed there? Had said? What do you mean had said? He wasn't killed there. He was killed in Turkey. They murdered him and brought his parts back on behalf of MBS.
And so, of course, folks on the left, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Civilian journalists said, hey.
And rightly, civilian journalists? The fuck? We don't have government journalists in this country. Is that the new corporate media line? We have civilian and military journalists. By the way, asshole, I'm fairly certain, like, the Army Times was like, yeah, Jamal Khashoggi was murdered by the Saudis.
Don't do business with them, call them out. This journalist got killed there. Now, if you remember, though, just a couple months ago when he made a phone call and begged for more oil, the Saudis never even returned his call.
Oh, is that what he did? He begged. Well, then how did he beg? How do you beg? Did he just beg into a dial tone? Is that what happened? He called up and begged the guy. It was embarrassing. Into a phone. The phone wasn't even plugged in.
The Biden regime, of course, added
regime. Fuck yourself. Administration, you asshole.
Again, wasting our tax dollars printing money.
No, we're not printing money.
As they say, we've got this all under control.
First of all, the Biden administration, no administration fucking prints money. The Fed doesn't even print money. But even still, they're raising interest rates. That's why the fucking stock market dipped. You can't, I don't know. Let's see what Steve Moore plays. But this is so fucking inverted. How is it that everything they complain about is the stuff they do? All right, we've been through this. Hold on. Biden cancels $5.8 billion in student loans. This is it. This bastard. He's going to do this just to buy votes, which Trump never attempted to do with billions to farmers in rural areas from tariffs.
Cancel more than $5.8 billion in federal student loan debt.
For former Corinthian college students. Let me guess. Ah, boy. This is gonna be funny. Billion in, let's see. Now, was this both Corinthians or? Education Department approves $5.8 billion group discharge to cancel all remaining loans for 560,000 borrowers who attended Corinthian. Today, the U.S. Department of Education announced it will discharge all remaining federal student loans borrowed to attend any campus owned or operated by Corinthian colleges from its founding in 1995 through its closure in April 2015. This will result in 560,000 borrowers receiving $5.8 billion in full loan discharges. This includes borrowers who have not yet applied for borrower defense discharge, who will have their Corinthian loans discharged without any additional action on their part. The action is the largest single loan discharge the department has made in history, providing this targeted relief as part of the Biden-Harris administration's continued commitment to helping borrowers who are struggling the most by ensuring discharge programs provide borrowers the complete relief to which they are entitled. Today's action brings the total loan relief the Biden-Harris administration has approved for borrowers to $25 billion since January of 2021. The announcement today builds upon conclusions first reached by the Department of Education in 2015 that Corinthian engaged in widespread and pervasive misrepresentations related to a borrower's employment prospects, including guarantees they would find a job. Corinthian also made pervasive misstatements to prospective students about the ability to transfer credits and falsified their public job placement rates. This is not regular. This is about fraud. And the federal government can't charge people for loans that they backed that made them believe that the company might be legitimate.
For only 560,000 people in this country.
Only? Yeah, very specific. Corinthians, yeah. And Trump is a huge fan of two Corinthians, but none of these Corinthians.
Matter of fact, that five right there, look at this. The 5.8 billion, 560 of it's going to a college, Corinthian college, which doesn't even exist.
Yeah, we're just paying that company that doesn't even exist. The Biden administration is printing money, and then they're going to roll down there with a wheelbarrow and dump it on the grounds where the buildings used to be.
But they're going to pay off their loans.
Right, because it was part of a fraud scheme. And the government, by providing federal loans for this school, was part and parcel to making people believe that the school was legitimate. When it didn't turn out to be legitimate, they'll discharge the loans, and then the government goes after Corinthian.
5.8 billion. According to the Department of Education.
Yeah, that's money we could have sent to Ukraine.
Qualified borrowers will be notified within the next few weeks if their stuff's going to be paid off. That's so great. How about we bring our friend Steve Moron, former Trump economist and co-founder of the Committee to Unleash Prosperity. And
who is, what is with the, all right. I've done my show a couple of times from my car because I've had to travel and I'm like, guys, I didn't get where I was going. So I needed to pull over and but this trend of people being interviewed in their cars, it's got to stop. And if you're a pundit and you want to be taken seriously, I don't want you sitting in your car. I'm not going to do it. Yeah, he's in a car running from the law. Right. He's currently on the lam. Yeah, he's in a courthouse parking lot. He's trying to avoid being served.
Man, I wish we could unleash some right about now, Steve.
Ew. Well, he's probably not wearing pants, I think. And why are you shuffling papers? They've got nothing written on them.
Let's get right to it. Job numbers, 390,000. Unemployment, steady at 3.6. It's been that way for the last 2-3 months. Here's my whole take on this thing.
All right, let's hear it. Because we brought on Steve so that Danny Balls could confuse us all with his acumen around economics.
Biden. Job restoration from a closed economy during COVID is not job creation.
I see. By the way, you would want to address that to Trump's belief that he built up the economy and then he built it up a second time. So you're saying the second time he built it up is a bullshit claim. Thirdly, more jobs have been added in companies that were not just simply reclaimed afterwards.
Am I right?
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, we had 3.6. Oh, wait, we didn't.
I listened intently to that little clip that you played from Biden's press conference today, and of course.
You listened to the clip. You didn't watch the speech, so that you know what he actually said in full context.
That was around noon. And as soon as he started talking, I don't know if you noticed that the stock market just went down, down, down. If I were advising the White House, I would say maybe the less that Joe Biden says about the economy, the better. This happened.
Yeah, that's the timing of it. That's what it's. I mean, Biden actually, let's see, Dow. Let's look at the. When was this? Hold on. Let me make sure this is the same day. Yep, no, this is today. It's up today, like 0.049% or whatever, but it's up over the previous close. This is the 1 day. It's above its line. This was yesterday, where it was previous close, so it's above it. Let's see what the 5 day is. 5 days just jagged. I don't know what the current close was. Here's the Biden administration doing stuff. Jobs report. All right. By the way, traditionally, pop quiz, everyone. How does the market versus employment and vice versa? When employment is up, which way does the stock market usually go? Does the stock market in general like a huge, like a low unemployment number and a lot of people working who can demand higher wages?
Every time he starts talking about the economy, because he seems delusional. When he's talking about how wonderful the U.S. economy is,
he's not. He's saying we're recovering, the jobs are there, the world economy is in trouble, but comparatively we're doing very well, and we still have some challenges ahead. You know, an adult conversation. But this is what happens when you have two crayons trying to discuss like a graph.
And people are paying $5.
I'm the red line. You be the blue line. Will draw us jagged stuff.
$5 a gallon for gasoline. They're paying 30% more for.
Look, they're printing money, and it's in a dress shop
for their food.
Anybody can print money in this ridiculous economy.
They're feeling real hardship. It seems like he's completely out of touch.
Yeah, I mean, granted, he's not. You know, he's a public servant who's been hired to do a job and is basically as all presidents are, a prisoner of that job currently or whatever. He can't sit in his $70,000 automobile in air-conditioned comfort, tireless, calling into a show in between, I guess, economic speaking gigs, wherever the fuck.
You know, there was a poll that came out by Gallup. They've been doing this poll for 40 years, Dan, and they found that only 2 out of 10 Americans, only 20% of Americans rate the U.S. economy as good or great.
Wow.
Most Americans rate the economy as fair or poor.
Yeah, because we just came out of COVID and we're dealing with inflation. There's a war on. I wonder, does it go back to World War I?
And so it's.
Don't be fooled. This guy's parked in front of a liquor store.
It's remarkable to me that he keeps saying this is a good economy. And
he doesn't say it's a good economy. He says our recovery is amazing, but we still have a lot to do, and it's a very challenging economy that we're in. I don't know that. Well, maybe he says it's find the quote.
I am just so disgusted by this idea of blaming everyone but himself.
For what? What's he supposed to blame himself for? 3.6. And by the way, you don't want to give him credit for the jobs, but you want to give him blame for everything else.
For these problems.
The JP Morgan CEO just said we're headed for a hurricane, Steve.
A hurricane. He said, JP Morgan said we're headed for a hurricane. We covered this bullshit before. Hold on. This is, and let me see if, do we think that printing money is the reason why JP Morgan thinks we're headed for a hurricane? That we keep making more money, that liquidity is out of control, according to JP Morgan, the guy who says we're headed towards a hurricane. Also, does he think that it's because the U.S. is spending too much on infrastructure or domestic stuff or programs that the Biden administration has done? Well, let's see. Jamie Dimon says, brace yourself for an economic hurricane caused by the Fed and Ukraine war. There are two main factors that has Diamond worried. So-called quantitative tightening, or QT, is scheduled to begin this month and will ramp up to $95 billion a month in reduced bond holdings. The other large factor, which usually is the thing that they're saying will trigger a recession, because normally economic policy like that and tightening and easing of numbers is based on liquidity and not on supply shock, which is currently where we are. So basically, the Fed is trying to fix a brain tumor with a colonoscopy. The other large factor worrying Diamond is the Ukraine war and its impact on commodities. You know, Biden's war on Russian corn, including food, fuel, and oil. Oil could hit $150 or $175 a barrel, he said. You better brace yourself, Diamond told a room full of analysts and investors. JP Morgan is bracing ourselves, and we're going to be very conservative with our balance sheet. That was his point. He says he's preparing for the biggest U.S. bank for an economic hurricane on the horizon and advised investors to do the same. You know, I'd say there's storm clouds, but I'm going to change it. It's a hurricane. Diamond said Wednesday at a financial conference in New York, while conditions seem fine at the moment, nobody knows if the hurricane is a minor one or a superstorm Sandy. So it's a hurricane, but it might be one of those ones where like, oh, well, it turned out it blew off coast and it wasn't that big a deal, or it's going to wipe everything out. You better brace yourself. Brace yourself. Brace yourself. I just want to say I love Duke and the Rocky movies, period. JP Morgan is bracing ourselves, and we're going to be very conservative with our balance sheet. Beginning late last year with high-flying tech names, stocks have been hammered as investors prepare for the end of the Federal Reserve's cheap money era. What does that mean? What does that mean? That means not printing money. That means lessening of liquidity. That is quantitative tightening. That is not a policy that the quantitative easing again isn't something the Biden administration is asking for, and they may even be saying don't tighten so fast. But I doubt it. At this point, they seem committed. Everybody in the administration seems to be committed to fixing inflation using Fed policy. Diamond is saying this because of opposite reasons from what the Biden administration is doing.
I mean, when a major CEO of a massive company like JP Morgan says a hurricane's coming, we're going to have a recession, just how big it'll be. Is this a category 1, 3, or 5? It's going to come. And then the president steps out the day after that. JP Morgan CEO says that yesterday and says, everything's great. We got a great economy. We're doing great.
No, they're talking about monetary policy and quantitative easing. He didn't come out and like the oversimplification is friggin' childish.
He's just lying.
No, you are. Dan Balls is lying. Dan, you're a liar. Steve, you're either lying or you're dumb. You didn't watch the whole speech. It's irritating when that's the storyline.
To the American people.
The American people.
Well, he's either lying or he's just reading, a transom that is his aides are.
Well, his aides are handing to him. Well, maybe you would know if you actually saw him speak off the cuff. You could judge whether he was reading it from his notes, reading it from a teleprompter, or speaking off the cuff based on his own decisions. But you didn't, did you, Steve? You're running off a clip you saw right before you came on the air because you're sitting in your fucking car.
They're putting on, but
let me find a way to talk out of my ass while sitting in these on this fine Corinthian leather.
People.
Well, he's either lying or he's just reading, a transom that is his aides are putting on. But
his aides are putting a transom that his aides are putting on. Oh, God.
It's very frustrating to me. You can sense I'm frustrated because I really believe if Donald Trump were still president and we had moved forward with the Put America First agenda.
The Put America First agenda? I think it's just the America First agenda. By the way, Put America First on the chopping block, maybe. That was the Trump plan.
Creating and producing American energy and better trade deals with China.
Better trade deals with China. Oh, that's right. Steve was one of the guys working on the trade deal with China. I see. And so we're keeping by Biden keeping the tariffs, but not relaxing the ones that were supposed to allow the Chinese government to get around a lot of the sanction work around Russia, for example. We just didn't do that. He was supposed to do that, and then he lost the election.
And securing the border and all of these things, and the tax cuts, the deregulation. Yeah. I really think the economy would be doing so well. And here we are coming out of this recession, and we're headed to another recession.
I know.
And this was self-induced. This was a self-induced. We shot ourselves in the foot.
Yes.
Yeah, we totally did. We shot ourselves in the foot by all of us getting vaccinated and coming back to work, and everybody going back to work and trying to build their businesses back up and get rolling again. America, what's wrong with you? Why, America, why do you hate Donald Trump so much? Why are you going back to work? Why are you trying so hard? You're making Trump look bad. This is terrible. You're driving up the price of stuff because you're buying a lot of it, and there isn't a lot of it to be bought.
Steve, can you clarify something for me?
No, I'm just going to preemptively tell you. No.
Because every time JoJo steps out there, like he did today, and he says, I created, and it's the most fast and most robust growing job growth economic ever in the history of this nation, and he brags on that 8 million number. Can you remind folks how many jobs went idle because of COVID in 19 and 20? Wasn't it more than 8 million? So when he keeps saying I created 8, no, if 20 million.
Yeah, the 8 million is in addition. Well, about 6 million of them are. They balance that.
People didn't have a job for 2 years or a year and a half because of COVID. You didn't do jack squat.
You know,
you mean the jobs that Trump destroyed?
You're exactly right. And I'm going to give you another statistic that's amazing. You never hear Joe Biden tell, which is we actually created more jobs in the last 6 months of the Trump administration than we did in the first 6 months of the Biden administration.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You mean at the end of percentage-wise, based on how many people were out of work and how many people went back to work as we tried to get back up to work, and then it went back down again because the vaccines had to go. Oh, for fuck's sake. Not true at all. Yeah, in a percentage, if you have 100 people not working and 65, they all go to zero, and then 65 of them go back to work, and then they go back down to 20, and then they go to 85. You could go, more people went back to work while we were in office during that 65, even though 40 of them lost their job again. And then, this is so stupid. Give us, Jesus Christ, give us the status number, not just the incremental statistic.
So the recovery was well underway.
Yeah, it was great.
Right.
When Biden came into office, for him to claim credit for the restoration of the jobs. By the way, we're still about 1 million jobs short of where we were in December of 2019 before COVID hit. So
in what areas? Oh, refineries.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
Yes, and the Biden administration, 1 million jobs short. And they added 380,000. They're expecting to add about 200,000, 250. Add. Adjusting for the ones lost, that also people come and go from the workplace over the next few months. That 1 million is coming. The reason they're freaking out is, think about the job growth over, like the fact that it was 380 this month, and more than likely seasonally adjusted, over the summer because of people going, traveling again for the first time, even with the price of gas going up. Families are going to be traveling a lot this summer. People are going to be bitching about gas, but we're paying per gallon $2 less than they pay by the liter in Europe. So by comparison, the American economy, like the Americans in general, are freer to travel and go and see and do more shit on their vacation than anybody else in the civilized world, largely. So over the summer, there's going to be more of those jobs. And even if it's shy of expectations, it's going to be more than that 1 million, which brings us to about a $2 million job growth and a lowering of probably to about 3.3% in the economy, in the numbers right before the election.
Thank you.
But it's not going to happen if we raise taxes, impose more price controls, do Build Back Better. And that's the solution.
First of all, price controls aren't part of the conversation at all. Build Back Better is a part of the social aspect of this, which is not going to have an impact on the inflationary economy at all. The question about whether or not it raises medical costs and other stuff related directly to that is, I mean, arguably it's offset by the fact that people with childcare tend to do more work and work more, and therefore raises their productivity, and they build more businesses. They're freer to choose a better job and therefore make more money. The aspects of Build Back Better can puff the economy more so than they would ever cost the economy. That's the expectation, or they wouldn't even go in, but that's why they're saying it's paid for, and they know it'll make money. It's why the Republicans are against it. But ultimately, none of this is stuff that's happening currently. Build Back Better didn't happen. Inflation and all these pressures are happening because of commodities worldwide, the rise in oil prices, and the limiting number of refineries that are open. That's it.
It's more of the same.
I know. Well,
it's more of the same. It's almost like your talking point, Steve. Imagine if you hadn't fucked up so badly that you dragged the negotiations with the Chinese into COVID and had to literally, Trump had to pretend COVID was no big deal for another 6 to 8 weeks while you kissed their ass to get this deal through, which they never lived up to.
They're starting to rebuild some of the wall, so I guess what? They're going to backtrack real soon probably on the economy, and they're probably going to start putting Trump policy back into place that you were part of. Stephen Moore is...
Yeah, that's going to happen. Sorry, are they... Hold on, is Biden building the wall? Okay, I just... Oh, I see what this was. So they're, here you go. Fact check. Construction is not resuming on miles of border wall that Trump promised. Biden changes his mind and now wants to resume building Trump's wall. PolitiFact, false. There are gaps in the barrier, in the areas, by the way, most of what Trump built was parts of the wall that it used to be fencing and they just replaced it with wall. And there were gaps in the built wall that you could walk through. Fucking hell. Anyways, you're watching HAL, SPARKS, Mega Worldwide. The show zipped by and I only got to do, we did 3 clips. Can I do another one, short one for you? And then we'll get on with it. And by the way, tomorrow, I'm doing a podcast and I have to fly to LA and I might be late getting to my show and it might be tighter tomorrow because I've got sound check at the Whiskey because Nerd Halen is opening for the Jam. They're doing all the music of Prince tomorrow at the post NAMM Jam and at the Whiskey, and Nerd Halen is opening. We're very excited. It's gonna be super fun. So it's Ojeda time too. Ah man, I don't want to eat too much into that. I'll do here real quick. This is just real quick. This is from Frank on TV, not to be confused with Fwank.com, which is HAL Sparks. It takes you to twitch.tv/HAL Sparks. FWANQ, of course, .com. Dominion is busted. Georgia hand recount changes election results. 6th of June, 2022. It happened. Smash that like button. Come on. There's no like button. There is none. I don't know what this is. All right, anyways. But this dude is, he's got a Jimi Hendrix Experience poster. He's got a guitar. He's hip. He's hip.
Ladies and
gentlemen,
what I'm about to share with you guys is hot off the press. And
if you want to buy a timeshare that'll make your penis larger and your hair stay in your follicles, hang on to the end of the video for a special offer.
One of the most explosive stories on election fraud that's occurred in the last year.
Even more so than the Trumpers in the villages voting twice and getting arrested for it? Or the guy who murdered his wife and voted for Trump in her stead while pretending she had just disappeared? Even more shocking than that, I'm riveted.
What we have is clear, definitive proof of machine manipulation.
Clear, definitive proof of machine manipulation by Trump officials.
By the Dominion machines in DeKalb County, Georgia.
But in DeKalb County, Georgia, not DeKalb, not the county that makes you choke when you say it, DeKalb.
Now, we'll get to the details of that.
Yeah, don't bother. I mean, I don't need details.
In just a second, but I want to give you guys some context here
Sure.
to explain why this is so explosive.
Yeah, because apparently there are dipshits that think Trump didn't lose the election. And those kind of assholes are hanging on my every word.
The timing of this could not be more perfect.
Yes, it could. Yeah, like before Joe Biden was sworn in. I'm just saying, might have helped your cause a little bit. Halfway through the Biden presidency, I'm saying the timing seems a bit fucked.
Just last week on Saturday, CNN and the Washington Post came out and admitted that the Dominion machines, specifically the ImageCast X Dominion machines used
not the ImageCast X
in the state of Georgia, have several vulnerabilities.
Vulnerabilities?
That could allow for malware to switch votes.
That could allow for malware to switch votes? And did they know about Q-Snatch?
Now, I think I know exactly why they admitted this, and I did an entire Substack on this exact subject, which I'll leave a link to.
Yeah, I'll get right to that. Seriously, I'll read up on it right
in the description. CNN said that their source for this information about the Dominion machines came from CISA, and CISA has a 5-page advisory report that they're going to be releasing this week.
Dun, dun,
okay,
dun.
so let's get this straight. CISA, the same...
What is the Haldeman report?
Same agency which said this was the safest, most securest election in American history...
Securest is not a... Never mind.
...is about to release...
It's not a word.
A report telling us that there's vulnerabilities in the ImageCast X machines, but there's no evidence that these vulnerabilities have ever been exploited.
Right, because if they were, you'd have the ballots and the count in the machines during the recount. It wouldn't match up, but we'll see.
And here's why CISA is doing this.
All right, here, CISA, because they're big CISAs.
CISA is trying to control the narrative before the Haldeman report gets released.
Dun, dun.
Now, if you don't know what the Haldeman report is, there was a lawsuit that was filed in Georgia claiming that the Dominion machines that are used are unconstitutional, right?
Yes, they're bad for your constitution. Do not eat a Dominion machine. It will make you poop glass and plastic.
So the judge actually allowed an expert to come in and examine those machines, and that was Dr. J. Alex Halderman.
Dr. J. Alex Halderman.
Halderman came out and publicly stated that he found multiple severe security flaws in the ImageCast X machines.
Dun, dun, dun.
That would allow bad actors to install malicious software and change votes.
Yeah, and you would... The only thing that is the issue is that the ImageCast is so named because they take an image of the ballot and count it, and then if you did a recount, you would notice that they don't match up.
And here's why. The ImageCast X machines, you make your selections on a touch screen, and then it prints out a piece of paper, right?
Yeah, a receipt.
And so the idea is that you have a paper ballot backup. However, those ballots are fed through a machine to be tabulated. And what the machine actually reads is a QR code. It doesn't actually read your selections, it reads a QR code. So basically, if a bad actor wanted to, they could install malicious software, and that QR code would read something different than what the voter actually selected on the touchscreen.
But the ballot on the touchscreen would have to say the number, like check which box you checked, would say the right one, because if it didn't, people wouldn't go, it's all right, I read QR code, I can tell. They would look at the list and go, oh, it says I voted for Trump. I voted for Biden. That's wrong. Let me put that back through. There's a problem with this. Obviously, something is amiss. Why, mine says that too, as does mine.
Now, after Halderman completed his report, CISA then came in and asked the judge to keep this report under seal temporarily. They told the judge that basically, if the Halderman report gets out there to the public, then bad actors could see all these vulnerabilities in the machines, and we can't have that. That would severely undermine election security. So please, keep this under seal until we do our own report. And after 4 long months...
4 long months later,
CISA is finally done writing their 5-page review. They've drafted an official response to the Halderman report, which is going to be released next week. But before it comes out, they've decided to leak it to CNN and...
Oh, I see. They decided to leak it to CNN, did they?
The Washington Post to give the media a chance to spin their propaganda.
Oh, I see. It's written right there. It says a chance to spin their propaganda. Okay, so thank God you're not reading an opinion piece. I thought you were citing an opinion article and reading it as if it was fact. Gee, where have I seen that before?
And so that is why CNN and the Washington Post are saying, yes, there's vulnerabilities in the Dominion machines, but there's no evidence that it's ever been exploited in an election.
Well, that's because they would know, because there were so many recounts, especially in fucking DeKalb, that they would know. They could look at the paper and go, I don't know what the QR code says, but this paper doesn't match what was in the actual voting. So that people who voted for this one thing, after they tabulated the second one, the machine that printed it out, people saw, they looked at it, they reviewed their choices. That's why you get a printout. They didn't just get, here's a QR code. What does it say? I don't know. I'm going to put it on my dashboard.
They're trying to lay the...
By the way, that's a QR code right there. That's for Venmo if you want to support the show or me or buy me a coffee or just saying my kid's birthday was last Sunday. It's just putting that out there. It's no pressure. It's just kids are expensive and food, clothing, shelter. All right.
Groundwork and control the narrative by saying this has never been exploited in an election.
Right, because it hasn't.
And boom, right on time, this story comes out of DeKalb County, which absolutely destroys that narrative. This is the most definitive, explosive proof
Let's hear
of
it.
machine manipulation using these
the machine manipulation
exact same image cast machines.
Oh man,
that we've ever seen.
Ever.
Okay, so we've laid the groundwork on why this story is so important.
Yep, I feel like I understand that fully.
Now let's get to the actual story and explain what I'm talking about.
Yes, because no one knows right now.
So, in DeKalb County, Georgia, on May 24th, there was a local county commissioner race in...
Is this the part where we find out that they don't use these image capture machines in the federal ones? They just use them as reserve machines for these fucking local little elections? Fuck me. All right.
District 2. And the end result...
District 2? Oh, shit. They get District 2. They've got the whole enchilada.
Showed Lauren Alexander received 34.67% of the vote.
Which we know is bullshit.
Marshall Orson receiving 41.35% of the vote.
Nonsense.
And Michelle Long Spears receiving 23.98% of the vote.
Add those up, that's 666% for the Who's at Home.
Vote. So in Georgia, you know, if you don't get 50%, then you go to a runoff. So
right. Mm-hmm. And the runoffs are really exhausting because the air is really thick down there and they have ticks and mosquitoes.
So Michelle Long Spears was cut out of the...
You have to drink peach juice, which is not refreshing when you're running.
Race. And the two runoff candidates are Marshall Orson and Lauren Alexander.
Very exciting.
Now, Michelle Long Spears noticed something very strange about these election results.
Huh. The third place loser?
She went around to different precincts in the district and noticed that some of the precincts she didn't receive a single vote, including her own precinct where she and her husband voted for herself.
That bastard.
Now think about that. How is it possible?
Because it didn't chart as a percentage. It's like 0.001% in a larger county. So it shows up as 0 because they round to actual fucking numbers. The only people who voted were her and her husband for her. Everybody else was like, ugh. The more you know her, the less likely you are to vote for her. Shocking.
That a candidate who allegedly received 24% of the vote...
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for being awesome. Well, thank you for being awesome. He just Venmo'd to support the show. Bless you.
Finds precincts where she didn't receive a single vote. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's impossible.
No, it isn't.
So then she made complaints and demanded a...
Hold on. Where was this article? Hold on. Oh, shit, I can't... You mean I can't jump back with this bullshit? Well, no, it won't allow me. Rewind. Spears said to, okay, Fox 5. Let me see. Fox 5, whoops, sorry. 5, Spears, election, something. That'll do it. Unofficial results, Spears leads field in DeKalb Commissioner 5 days ago. Certifies primary results following glitch 3 days ago. The fuck? Fox 5. Published June 1st. Unofficial results. Spears leads field in DeKalb Commission District 2 race. Wait, is she the one that was... After days of hand recount, District 2 County Commission race, DeKalb County election officials first announced Wednesday night that the candidate whose complaints sparked the recount received the most votes. There you go. So they did a recount of the actual paper votes. According to the preliminary and unofficial vote totals announced by the DeKalb County Voter Registration and Electors Office, it's going to be good. It's going to be, what do you think? These are Republican controlled? Let's see it. Michelle Long Spears received 6,651 votes. Following her is Lauren Alexander with 4,737 and Marshall Orson with 3,928. Donald Broussard got 133, that bastard. Broussard officially withdrew from the race prior to the May 24th. Oh, and he still got 140. Okay. Spears complained about the initial results of the morning after last week's primary after the poll tape posted outside of one precinct showed she didn't receive a single vote. Spears said she then went to multiple precincts and around the district and discovered the same thing. While the poll tape showed votes for Alexander, Orson, and Broussard, they all listed zeros next to her name. Dun, dun, dun. All I have to say is my husband and I voted for the precinct for myself, and when I showed up and it showed 0 votes for myself, that was rather alarming. Spears notified DeKalb County officials who believe Broussard's withdrawal from the race triggered some sort of electronic tabulation issue. Keisha Smith, DeKalb's elections director, decided Saturday to recount the ballots by hand after discovery of the issue. But, I mean, it's just a bunch of QR codes. How can anybody read those? Did they bring in C-3PO? How can you even tell? Nobody has a phone that powerful. The initial primary results released May 25th showed Alexander won 34%, Orson 41%, and Spears with 23%. Since none of the candidates met the 50% threshold, the race will likely head to runoff between the two candidates who received the most votes. According to news released, DeKalb County election officials have emailed the preliminary tabulations from the hand count to the candidates and will upload the numbers to the state's election system. Final results are being tabulated and will be announced when the process is completed. The Board of Registration and Election hold a special county meeting to consider certifying the election result. The goal of the hand count was to obtain accurate results of the County Commission District 2 race, and I'm confident we've achieved that objective thanks in part to the diligence of our staff who worked extended hours across the holiday weekend. We are committed to getting these tabulations right, but wanted to ensure the preliminary and unofficial results were posted as soon as practicable. So wait a fucking second. This woman literally saw that she didn't get a single vote and went and said something's hinky, and they used the printed ballots to do a hand recount, and it worked. The tabulation problem was the issue, which is a secondary effect. That's after. I don't think C-3PO can read a QR code. I think that's the primary language of moisture evaporators is QR. Yeah. We locals pronounce it DeKalb, silent L. I'm sorry, I like the Tom Brokaw choked to death on an L, DeKalb.
A single vote, including her own precinct.
Oh my God!
Where she and her husband voted for herself.
And it's weird that in noticing the tabulation problem, which is a wholly different issue, they went back and counted the actual ballots that were printed from the machines in question, and it turns out that's exactly what saved her candidacy.
Now think about that. How is it possible?
How's it possible?
That a candidate who allegedly received 24% of the vote finds precincts where she didn't receive a single vote?
Well, because there was a tabulation issue, not a voting issue. Not a ballot issue at all. As a matter of fact, it was so abundantly clear that a hand recount showed her to be in the lead.
Obviously, that's impossible. So then she made complaints and demanded a hand recount of...
And she got them, of ballots printed from a Dominion machine. Fucking hell.
The results. So just yesterday, they released the hand count totals.
Yeah.
And the difference between the machine count official results...
No, the tabulation, which is a different count. It's not the same machine. Jesus Christ.
And the hand count totals...
Because the Dominion machines are the ones that print them. The other machine is the one that reads them. It's a reading machine, and the tabulation had nothing to do with the voting machines. The Dominion machines aren't at fault here. As a matter of fact, they guaranteed the woman got her vote. Jesus Christ. That's so stupid. I'm like Danny Balls listening to economic data he doesn't understand. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you, Joe.
That it changes the actual outcome of the election.
It didn't. A tabulation impact on a local race caused somebody to notice in an election with less than 12,000 people.
So here's 2 screenshots comparing the difference between the Dominion machine totals reported.
No. The Dominion machines printed the ballots, dum-dum.
Reported on May 24th.
Wrong. This is a lie. This is stupid. It's a tabulation issue. The machine you're talking about that prints out the ballot after you make your choice, that was right. It was totally right. It was correct. That was right. The machine they fed him into was tabulating based on whether or not the other dude was in. Jesus Christ.
And the hand count totals reported
I'm losing my tone. I'm totally losing. Nothing is real.
on June 1st. After the hand count, Lauren Alexander gained 355 votes. Orson lost 1,298 votes. Spears actually gained 3,620 votes, making her the new runoff candidate.
Right. Based on the ballots printed by the Dominion machines.
And here's the best part. When you add them all up, the hand count shows
I will do a rate on the major as soon as this is done. And hopefully we'll get through it quickly.
2,810 votes more than the Dominion machines reported on May 24th.
Bullshit. The Dominion machines just printed the ballots. The tabulation machine is the problem. This is so stupid.
This is absolutely huge, guys. This
is guys, it's totally... I'm so huge. I'm a huge
discrepancy in the thousands in a local county commissioner race. And so far...
Right, in the tabulation, because a dude dropped out beforehand and it screwed with the count.
They've offered no explanation as to why this happened.
Yes, they have. They have in the article you're citing. Jesus Christ. That's Fox 5. This is the actual article. You big dummy. Crazy. What happened? Where did everything go? Oh, my pages went away. Where'd you go? Hold on. Back up. Chrome, open up. Where are you? There we go. Why did my pages all... What kind of bizarre IBM PC madness is this? Okay, same article. Moron. Spears complained. Let's see. Director decided to count the ballots by hand. They believe, whereas according to news release, the count county have emailed the preliminary tabulations, final results being tabulated. The goal of our hand count is we committed. But there was a where was the part that we read it earlier? Multiple around there, zeros next to our name. Special election. Well, anyways, we saw that part. We'll get back to it later. I'll move everything around and I lost my place.
What does that say about all the other races that were conducted on these very same machines?
Nothing, because they did a recount and it worked. What does it say about the tiny pebble bouncing around between your ears trying to convince you that its smooth, unruffled surface still makes it qualify as a brain and not an actual pea?
And what does this do to the narrative that, yes, there's vulnerabilities on the machines, but this has never been exploited in an election?
It's completely unrelated to your claptrap.
If you ask me, with all of this coming out at the same time, this is the most leveraged...
Guys, if you line it up, even though none of it makes sense in a nonsensical way. Do you understand what I'm saying? Guys, think about it this way, man. You got to twist it in on itself. And then if you fold it backwards like that, and it's like a cootie catcher, where everything ends up, You suck. Ah.
We've ever had at banning the Dominion machines, destroying the narrative, and opening Pandora's box and looking at other races.
He means election races, not people of color, I hope. Or the English.
And that's why this has to get out there to the masses.
Yeah, it is. I'm sharing it. It's I don't think you'll like how it's getting out to the masses, but I'm doing my best to.
I'm asking you guys to share this video.
Yeah, smash that like button. Yeah, I'm smashing it. There isn't one, but I'm you know, you don't think you've got enough shareable things below this? You don't think you're overdoing it a touch? You do realize that sharing this just makes you look like an even bigger asshole, because I have never seen a better example of someone getting it so wrong while patting themselves on the back.
All over the place and put this in your elected officials' faces.
Yeah, just walk up to them with a phone and go, dude, check this out. It's fucking hilarious.
We all know that Brian Kemp did not receive 72% of the vote in Georgia. So guys, let's work.
I mean, yeah, he did. But I'm going to say for the record that anytime they attack each other, I'm out.
Together and get on this while we have
the
momentum. The people of Georgia have to get on the phone with their elected officials and demand answers and accountability. This does not make sense, and there's
none. I agree. Finally, something we agree on. None of this makes sense.
No way they're getting away with this one.
Dun dun. Buh, we got him. Dead to rights, bruh. Oh God. Okay.
So again, guys, do me a favor and share this video. Also, smash that like button. Subscribe.
Yeah, smash it. Teabag that like button.
Subscribe to this channel and consider supporting on locals.
Nah.
At nickmoseder.
No, I'm not gonna. Dapagalaba,
as well as the Substack, which I'll leave a link to in the description.
Yeah, you're gonna have to, because I have a thing, and I really want to be able to do. I'd love to help you out, but
nickmoseder.substack.com.
Nickmo, as in the Mormon teenager practice of non-committal makeout sessions to get around the sexual mores of being growing up Mormon. Your last name is Nickmo. You're named after a non-committal makeout say. Oh God. This is Jake, just the tip, reporting for Frank's speech.
Anyways, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.
No, you won't. I gotta say, I think we got the gist of it. What's the dude's name again? Dominion Bus. It doesn't say. Who's this? Somebody. Nick. Nick, I think we got it. I think we got your. This is as elevator pitches go for stupid ideas. You nailed it, bruh. You just Shazam. I for one, I'm impressed. I've never seen a one and done before in the clips that I do. We're never gonna have to revisit you. It's great. You did it. You know what I mean? Like some of these people, like Jimmy Dore and Russell Brand and other people, they drag their dipshittery out into multiple areas and spread it kind of evenly all over the place. But in this one, you keep it in a tightly packaged, here's my dumb premise. Here's my lack of evidence. Here's my complete misunderstanding of reality. And here's my dipshit conclusion that doesn't match any of the previously related elements. And I gotta say, I'm impressed. Yeah, we've heard all we want to hear. Thank you, Stargal. I'm amazed. If only, Nick, you could teach Rudy Giuliani a thing or two, because he's a little long-winded with his idiocy. You've managed to take the entirety of Rudy Giuliani's career in the last 2 years and put it into one succinct, stupid little package and put it on our doorstep and lit it on fire. And it was so overwhelmingly full of shit. We were like, I'm not stepping on that. I'm not going to stomp it out. I'm just going to use a fire extinguisher and call the police. And I want to thank you, Nick, for being this dumb this quickly. I'm amazed. That's great. And that is the current state of election fraud gotcha happening in the Republican Party. That is a clip on Frank's speech where they're like, aha! It's on the top, on the Frank's, like, here's the live feed. Here's the, click here and watch 24 hours. I don't know what it sends you to cable or something. And that's literally the top post. I mean, obviously, after this one, it's a huge drop off to Mike Lindell on fucking Lou Dobbs's radio show without even video. Oh, your God. Terminate the machines petition. Like, this is where it drops off. This is all the shit. But they gave him pole position on this shit. Oh, that's glorious. Thank you guys for tuning in. As you know, over the next few days, there's obviously going to be a bunch of news, and there's going to be a lot of stuff related to the Jan 6 committee hearings and the like coming up this week. I'm not going to cover those things live. I'm going to cover parts of them, in chunks or pieces that we'll do it, because I feel like everybody's going to be live tweeting them as we go. Yeah, tight set, Nick. Real well done. Aces, bruh. And I'll be doing my regular thing, of course. And tomorrow, like I said, late show, because tomorrow night, if you're in the LA area, or you know anyone who is, or you tweet with anyone who is, tell them to come on down and see us it's free. We're opening for the Jam. It's a free show. Nerd Halen at the Whiskey on the big stage, full set, not a couple of songs like we do when it's mixed in with the Jam. 9 o'clock on the nose, 40 minutes. We'll kill it. We'll leave the stage. There'll be just jokes and notes all over the place when we're done. And right now we are going to raid our dear friend, the Major. There he is. So I'm gonna let the people on Twitch raid the Major, and then I will see the rest of you tomorrow afternoon. Like I said, be prepared. I might be a little late because I'll be rolling in hot. I've got to fly in and rent a car because I've got an interview in the morning, and just the timing is. Anyways, I adore you guys. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I will see you very soon. We're raiding. There we go. Hey, go. There we go. Everybody yell. If you're on Twitch, don't forget to yell air raid in the hold on. Send a message. There we go. Okay. There we go. Air raid. It's nice to be able to raid the Major again, because he's back up and running. So he's over on Twitch as well. Check him out. If you want to subscribe on Twitch, you can automatically be bumped over there. Our subscriptions are way down. That happens all the time. First of the month, it always happens. We're at $8.90. So if you feel like subscribing on Twitch, it would genuinely help. We'll do, since Free Speech is doing it, I'll just do a fund drive all week. If it occurs to you, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up. If you can't afford to help the show in any ways, then just watch it and let anybody else who can help. I don't want any pressure on anybody. I want people to help because they want to, not because they have to. And if you can't at all, I want you to just be grateful to the people who do support us, like our patrons. Thank them, because I do, and I appreciate them, and I want you to appreciate them too, because they're the ones who make the show possible. And that's that. And I'll see you guys later. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Kenneth. Thanks so much. Thank you, Joe. Thank you guys for the super chats. Thank you so much, Sleuth and Sandals. Gas money for the trip to the Whiskey. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kenneth. Appreciate it. Thanks for the bits. Thanks, Drywit Geek, for subscribing again on Prime on Twitch. Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan, for being a member on YouTube as well. Girls Rock Player, thanks for resubscribing. Nazik, thank you so much for the super chat. Jonathan, thank you as well. Carl, thank you. Sean, thank you. 420 God, thanks so much. We love you back. Research versus gaslighting, thank you. Value added, I appreciate that. I try. Eileen, thank you so much. Cherry, thank you for the super chat. Support for Ukraine. Say what? Thank you. Francie, thank you again. Thanks for being a member. Tamara Chance, thank you so much as well. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Thanks for your support, guys. Like and subscribe. And you can, the Venmo's up in the corner. Take a picture with your phone, and then it'll show you how to send $1 for every time I've made you laugh. If you can afford that, I don't think anybody can. All right, I'm moving. Okay.